Hey, everybody. How's it going? This week, I sat down to chat with another old college friend that I haven't seen in many a year. The other conversation I had was in episode 2 with the wonderful Alex Hallett. So check that out if you haven't. In this podcast, we get through a lot of great topics, and I think you'll really enjoy them. I also happened to mention at the end that I'm about to put together a blog post on how to get a podcast started and what I've learned in the first few months. Well, that is posted right now. I've received a lot of questions about that. So if you're curious to know about my personal podcast setup and tips, I've written it all down for you. It's up on my site, CourtneyDiamond.com, right now. But don't go check it out just yet. Instead, stay right here and enjoy this conversation that I had with my friend, Michael Muffoletto.
I haven't seen you in like over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
About 10 years.
Dude, we barely saw each other in college.
I remember I liked you. I'd pass by you like the halls of the dorms. You'd be like, yeah, you're cool. You're cool. And then
Yeah.
like that was it. Like I just knew I liked you. You're a cool person.
Yeah,
I got a good
seems
vibe.
all right.
Yeah, she seems all right. She's cool. So
Did you live in Braden?
I lived in Prawley my first semester. And
Dude, see, I forgot the name of that dorm until you said it.
Yeah. And I had a weird roommate. He was always there, but then he was always there, but then he wasn't.
It's nice when they're not, though, right?
It was nice when he wasn't there. So he wasn't there on the weekends, which was nice. But then he was always effing there all the time, and he ate all my food, and he gave away my stuff,
What?
like my textbooks. I'd have like, remember Regina Leto? Remember her?
Regina, what is that? Sounds familiar.
Super funny girl. She lives in Seattle now.
Okay.
She's funny because she's like we share half a last name because she's a Leto and I'm Muffoletto.
Correct.
And she came back. She's like, oh, here's your book. I was borrowing. I'm like, oh, cool. And
Yeah.
I had to have a talk with said roommate.
That's pretty funny.
Because he was just lending out my stuff. I would go get food, go home for a weekend because I lived like an hour and a half from Chapman, and then come back and all that food I got bought was gone. It was just like he did not understand like living with another human.
Did you say something to him?
I would say like, dude, you ate all my food.
And what's his response? He's like, yeah, it just
He was
happened.
like, so he wasn't. I don't want to talk shit because he listens, and he's like, hey man, like I remember you. But luckily, we had flooding because remember that year was like a bad El Nino year.
Yeah.
It was 2000. I don't know if you were there yet because you're younger than me. But
Am
I'm
Okay.
retarded and I took like 7 years to graduate college, so the timeline's all messed up.
2004 to 2008 were my
We
college
were there
years.
the same years, except I left in 2007.
Okay.
Left, graduated.
Yeah.
So
I bailed.
I bailed. I said F this.
I said never
But
mind.
no, we were on the ground floor. We got flooded, and he wanted to live in the swamp, and I did not. And I luckily found a room on the top floor of that place.
Yeah.
And the dude that lived there was there one time. It was like living in the penthouse. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's
So
really nice.
And he was like clean. So I walked into like a really clean, nice place. And
That's delightful.
it
When
was
I first
delightful.
got to college, I was in that brand new dorm. You remember the brand new
Yeah,
one?
Newhall. They called it Newhall because they didn't have a name yet. Because
Yeah.
everything at Chapman they dedicated to
Yeah.
a donor, and there was no donor there yet. So it's just called Newhall. I was in Newhall for the 2 years after that. I was living. I know you know my buddy Lex Barte. You don't?
I don't think so.
Totally thought you knew him.
No.
That's so weird.
Lex Bart.
I'm assuming things because you're totally his type. He's into like
I'm just.
you're
Yeah.
we have the
No,
same
I don't
type
know.
actually, me and him.
That's
But
really funny.
no, he's because I was on the tennis team.
Yeah.
And I lived with him, and I'm just gonna name names: Rob Chu and Morgan Surface.
I know
Morgan.
him.
You know Morgan. We were
know
down here
Morgan.
once with Morgan when we were still at college, and he was supposed to meet up with you, but something I don't know.
Something
He
happened.
was,
Who knows?
He's
We
a
were young.
Baylor. He was weird in a good way. Hi, Morgan.
Yeah. Totally remember
I don't know who
him.
listens to your podcast. I'm being so like.
Neither do I.
Yeah, okay. Like, hey, I don't know.
People do. I get numbers, but it doesn't like tell me.
Right.
So who knows?
Does anyone contact you from school? Say like, oh hey, I'm listening to your podcast. I know I do.
Not that like tells me they listen to my podcast. I mean,
Well, there's no metrics that does
I
that.
have
but
very few people that I talk to from college.
I figured,
Actually,
yeah.
very few. A couple,
Me too.
but the couple that I do talk to are usually
Who you
really
still talk to?
solid friends. I still talk to Zuselli, who is my roommate.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's what I was
what's
saying
her
about
name?
Zuselli.
Zoo.
Yeah.
Her name's Zoo.
Selly.
That's her first. That's her first name is Zuselli.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about my roommate
What does she look
situation.
like?
When I moved, as though you're gonna remember.
I do
from
remember,
that.
like,
There's
faces.
No way. I'm not gonna be able to describe it.
Zuselli. I gotta look that up.
I'll pull you a photo up.
Cool,
soon.
man.
But so I lived in Newhall in the beginning of college,
Mhm,
and I went
which
to
was
college.
nice. It was like
I
a
went-
hotel.
It was fancy, and I was excited about that.
Mhm.
And I was only 17 when I started
Oh,
college, so
you're
I was
youngin'.
super young.
Interesting.
But I was tripled,
Okay.
which was awful.
Yeah.
So we're squeezed into this room,
Mm-hmm.
and we share that, there's one bathroom. At least there's not like common bathrooms or
That's good.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But the problem is that for some reson, me and those other two girls, like, we were okay the first night.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I started to make friends with like the football players.
Cool.
Because I play video games.
Yeah, the football players are big on the video games.
And
I
so
think
we
the
would
athletes
play
in
like,
general are big
yeah,
on the
so
video
we play
games.
like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And we'd have all these.
We
like,
always played Mario Kart in my room because it was me and 3 other tennis dudes on the tennis team.
Yeah.
We played that game was like already 10 years old, but we were still playing it.
That's because it's a classic.
It's a classic.
Because it's necessary to life.
Yeah.
So we're playing video games, and I'm making friends with these guys who they think are attractive. And I think what happened was
Who the girls thought the guys were attractive? Okay.
And so they would come to the room to hang out with me to play video games.
Right.
They weren't there to talk to girls. They were there to, play games.
Yeah.
And then ever since that moment, they started being kind of really like resentful of me.
That sucks.
They were kind of rude to me. It got to this point where they were really passive aggressive. They would leave me Post-it notes.
What?
They wouldn't speak to me directly. They would
That's
only
the
leave
worst.
me Post-it notes. And when I'd leave for the weekend, I could tell somebody had slept in my bed, or they'd push all my stuff to like the side of the room.
My first roommate did that too.
It was just really like
it's annoying.
I felt ganged up on by 2 other girls.
That's interesting.
And it was so bad that halfway through the semester I requested a transfer.
Yeah.
And so they say, well, you got it. Here's the list of a couple people that don't have a roommate. You got to go talk to them and just see if
that's kind of what I did.
And see if they'll let you live with them.
Yeah.
And the first door I knocked on was freaking Zuselli's door. And I was like, hey, and it was at Braden where a lot of the football players live.
That's right.
So a lot of my good friends were already there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I need a roommate. What do you think? I don't think I said very much.
So you went from Newhall to Braden?
Yeah.
That's a world of difference.
Super different.
Braden was like living on a boat, basically,
so,
with like little boat cabins.
It's just like,
but it seems like that, like the coolest people live in there. I'm looking up Zuselli on my Facebook right now. I don't know. Let's keep talking though. I can multitask. It's cool.
I love that you're.
The thing is, like, I knew a lot of people at Chapman, and when someone says a name,
but I didn't.
You're kind of a hermit.
I was there for sure. I had my group of friends that I hung out with, and then I was never there on the weekends.
That was my gauge of you. You're like, which was confusing to think a lot of people. Like, you're an attractive person. Usually people that see attractive people equate that with, oh, you're outgoing because you're fearless because everyone always treats you well.
Yeah. I've never seen myself that way, though.
I've never seen myself that way either. I've only recently realized, like, I'm attractive, and this is like 10 years post me knowing you, college.
Right. So yeah, I've never been the person to kind of think of myself in that fashion, and I've always been a little bit shy, But I had my very particular group that I hung out with, and then I wasn't there on weekends. I'd go back to San Diego.
It's only an hour and a half away.
Exactly.
So I did the same thing with Thousand Oaks. It was the other direction. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah. So I was never there for parties. Or anything like that.
Parties that were kind of lame. The thing with Chapman, I really like Chapman, and looking back, it's a very nice school. I wish I took more advantage of the academics there because it was great. To me, I was
great professors.
Yeah, very good, very good. There were you see the professors on the History Channel all the time, or at least you did back when I watched the History Channel. That phase of my life kind of ended. I was so into History Channel for a long time.
Weird 2 weeks of my life.
Weird 2 weeks. It was like years of my life that I wasted. I'm just watching like the invasion of the Hittites and Israel and the ancient whatnot.
Okay, I thought you were going to go to the Ancient Aliens show and stuff.
That's what ruined it for me. Channel? That was History Channel. Okay. You get that weird guy with the weird hair going.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it.
Quotes. Did you believe it?
No, not necessarily, but I like to watch that.
The problem with that and like Discovery Channel and like Michael Phelps racing the effing shark. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, is he actually racing?
No, he raced. I just heard this on the radio while I was waiting for you in the car. He raced a computer simulation of a shark and lost.
Oh well,
it's
I'm
like
sad.
what?
Oh well, I'm sad.
But honestly, how are you gonna race a shark?
No, I figured you'd lose.
They might eat you. B, you can't control. Even if it's like I have no, issues with humans. I don't see them as food. It's not gonna go in a straight line. It's going to do what it wants.
No, because it does not.
Yeah, it's not going to go as fast.
Stupid little human
bullshit
competitions.
No, it's stupid.
No, why
it's
would
dumb
it care
as fuck.
about that?
I mean, it's not even Michael. People are paying Michael Phelps to do whatever Michael Phelps will do.
Sure.
But History Channel, come on, or Discovery Channel, come on. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, sharks are villainized.
That too.
And I know they're scary looking
they scare
and
the crap out of
everything,
me,
but they're terrifying. I don't want to swim with one.
They're a giant gray dragon that lives in the ocean that comes up out of nowhere and bites your ass.
But I think they do a lot of good for the ocean.
No, they're awesome.
As far as the ecosystem is, right?
They clean the ocean.
Yeah.
It's amazing. If they're not there, the whole ocean would be overrun with like fish, diseased fish, and then all those fish would eat everything else, and there'd be like nothing in the ocean.
I would totally do that cage thing where they put you in a cage.
I want to.
Underwater.
It scares the crap out of me, but I still want to do it.
I would do that because I wouldn't feel scared. I'd be
what scares me worse than that?
What?
Is the temperature of the water.
Just
I really hate being cold because great whites live in cold water.
I'm not good at being cold either.
No,
I'm not.
No.
I like warmth myself.
I'm Italian. We don't do well in the cold. So
I have no excuse. I'm just from San Diego, and it's warm.
How
and
warm's the
moderate
water
here.
out here?
It's not that
My
warm.
brother used to say he used to live down here. He said it was like, it's 80 degrees sometimes. I'm like, you're crazy, dude. What are you talking about?
I think he's exaggerating
I
a little bit.
I so can't multitask. I've been like scrolling up and down on
Are you
your
still
Facebook,
you're crazy,
not knowing
dude.
what I'm doing, and I'm like, oh, I should be looking for your friends.
Get out of there.
Why?
I'll freaking send you a link
I am
later.
so curious though. This name is ZU.
C.
Oh, there she is. I'm not gonna say her last name because that's gonna like out her as a human. I guess I don't know. I'm just respecting privacy.
Your last name's gonna be on here, so good luck.
Muffoletto. I'm volunteering though. Zuselli
Yeah, she's a person.
did not
She's
volunteer,
She's
so I'm
great.
not gonna say her last name.
But
I never
she was
saw
my
her
roommate.
before.
She was my roommate for the rest of college.
She did not exist at Chapman.
For
I
the
didn't
rest
know
of
her.
college.
If I didn't know her at Chapman, she didn't exist.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
so yeah.
Probably a lot of people didn't exist then.
I mean, that's my reality.
I
It's
mean,
my reality.
you seem outgoing.
I'm super outgoing. I'm outgoing to a fault. That was my problem in school. I was so outgoing. I would not do homework. I would just like. Here's my thing. I was 21 walking into college, which is like a year shy of when most people graduate. Because I was.
Yeah, I was barely 21 graduating.
You were like 17 coming
Yeah,
in.
I was
So
just
we're on opposite
barely
ends of,
turned
I think,
21.
maybe a similar spectrum.
Yeah.
But like, I went to community college, and when you go to community college, no one even like makes eye contact at community college. Like,
oh yeah.
like, oh, we're here and come back, blah, 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 which is funny because I walked out of there with a 3.8 GPA at Moore Park College up in Ventura County, and then went to Chapman, and I didn't party a lot. I just went like a dog that just like there's people coming over and they're new people just all over the place all the time. Just me talking to everybody.
God, that would drive me insane.
Just like it was social overload, not in a bad
Yeah.
way. You could never, it never like outwardly affected me, but it was just like I was just so like a busy bee all the time. It was just like my thing, and
Mhm.
I didn't realize how extroverted I was till I got there, and it was almost a problem. People were like, oh my gosh, Mike, stop talking to the girl I was just talking to. Jesus Christ! So I wasn't like trying to like
yeah.
intervene on something. It was just like, oh hey Courtney, blah blah blah, and you'd be in the middle talking to so.
Yeah.
And like you're happy to see me because we're friends, and then the dude talking to you thought he was gonna like,
and
something.
you're like, I just talk to people.
I just talk to people.
Don't know.
I don't give a shit. People gave me a hard time about that. I'm like, well, F you, man. I'm just talking to people.
Yeah.
I didn't know that etiquette. Though.
I'm the opposite
college
because I
etiquette.
seem rude because I'm not talking to
Do you
people.
have what do they call it? RBF.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Resting
And
bitch
sometimes if I realize that I am doing that, if I'm
Mhm.
looking a little too serious for whatever reason, I try to purposefully turn it off if I notice I'm doing it. Sometimes
Smile.
I have a problem of being just too much in my head because if I'm in my own space,
Probably.
I'm just thinking a lot of thoughts and
Yeah.
I'm not worried about kind of what's around
People think
me.
I look mean too.
Yeah, so it might be just I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what that is. Plus, I wear sunglasses pretty much constantly when
too.
I'm outside,
Yeah.
and they're mirrored, super mirrored, so you can't see into my soul. So you have no idea what's going on
Soulless
there.
Courtney.
But it's like as soon as somebody talks to me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm nice.
You were nice.
I'm very nice and
I
I'm
thought
very
you were
friendly.
nice.
I'm very friendly and I think I'm
Mhm.
easy to speak to. But you may not get that from me if you don't speak first because I don't know how to speak to people first. I'm
Which
not
I never
good
have
at
a
it.
problem with.
I'm
I
not
always
good.
talk to people.
I don't think anybody wants to talk to me, so I just
I think a
assume.
lot of girls have that problem. A lot of like you're again. I'm like blowing smoke up your butt, but it's for real. You're attractive. I think a lot of guys have problems talking to, not even guys, probably girls too, talking to attractive people because they're afraid and not so much of anything else besides just probably like this person gets a lot of people talking to them in general. They're probably not friendly. They only talk to a certain few.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, I don't know. It's just weird. I do have a lot of people that think something of me before they meet me. They think I'm a certain way.
'Cause
They think a lot of people think I'm way too cooler than I am. Like then they open my mouth and I'm a huge dork, and I know I've let some people down. Those people are idiots, but I know I've let them down because I thought I
Yeah.
was like XYZ and I'm
Well,
ABC.
people, I think we naturally kind of prejudge on what we
Mhm.
assume somebody's going to be. People wouldn't assume that I love video games.
Mm.
And I super nerd out on
Yeah.
that stuff. You wouldn't think that, I guess.
People don't think I'm
from-
obsessed with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's a weird.
You
thing.
never know
Yeah,
about
I know.
people. That's the interesting thing. You have to talk to them.
Mhm.
But that doesn't work in my advantage. If I'm seen as an attractive person, and so that's why people don't talk to me
Right.
because they assume that everybody talks to her. She
like a
probably
double-edged
doesn't care.
sword.
That
weird.
works really against me because I'm not, very comfortable starting a conversation. So it's almost limiting.
How do you make How did you make friends then? Like in college, and then how do you make friends now?
They're all people that talk to me first.
So you wait.
Or
You wait.
yeah.
So what if there's someone you really want to talk
me.
to? What do you do?
If there's
You
somebody
just
I really
stand
wanna
there and
talk
wait.
to-
You're like, hopefully
no,
we'll talk to her.
I do little things. Like I'll try to, you try to be around them. You try to, proximity is important at that point. I can make eye contact and smile. I can do that perfectly fine. So
what
I'll
if
put
you're
myself
with
in a position
someone
to do
like
that.
you and you're both waiting for the other person to make the first?
Then how will it ever happen?
I don't know.
It probably might not. Somebody's got to.
That's why I chose to be an extrovert. But speaking of which, why did you start this?
Why did I start this?
Yeah.
I started this because I wanted it to be kind of an extension of my blog, kind of the things that I talk about.
I've never seen your blog, to be honest.
Okay, it's fine.
I know.
It's totally fine.
But
so some of the stuff that I talk about on there are some of the things that I talk about on here. And I just thought it would be nice to sit down and get other people's perspectives. And I think it's really interesting. I feel like we're kind of, maybe I can only speak for myself and maybe some people that I've spoken to. Sometimes we're a little bit starving for like a real conversation.
I agree.
So we don't often just sit down and look somebody in the eyes with no other distractions.
Some of my
whatever
closest
going
friends
on.
who are my best friends, I rarely have a conversation with. It's weird.
Yeah, as far as like talking about just real stuff.
Your
And
life.
you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get to. Like we don't plan what we're going to talk about on this. I just want to sit down and see where we
real
go.
That way.
And see where we go.
Yeah.
And it's something I think it's just a little nice to be able to set aside that time for. And then people will tell you stories that you'd never anticipate and you hear things from them that you'd never expect. And I think it's important that we remember that people are more than that first impression sometimes too.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. So you grew up out here?
Yeah. San Diego, born and raised. Yeah.
But you're looking to move it up to LA.
Yeah, I've almost done it a few times.
Why do you want to? Why did you almost, and why haven't you?
I don't know. LA, there's good things and there's bad things about it, And I feel like people up there sometimes become walking resumes.
They do.
And I may not meet a ton of people because I'm introverted, but the people I do meet, I like to genuinely connect with. So I think I was just worried about the fact that I wasn't going to feel very comfortable up there.
No,
especially at that age when I was a little bit younger.
Yep.
I'm very much a different person now. I'm a little stronger in certain aspects of myself, and I just think I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready back then. So now at this point, I think I'm just a little sturdier.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
I feel the same way. I don't think I'm the same person at all that I was at Chapman.
No,
I kind of. I love Chapman. Regret going though because it wasn't what I would call a real college experience. I envy my youngest brother. He went to San Diego State. To me, that's a real college.
Yeah.
Like there's 45,000 students that went there. We went to school with 4,000.
I know.
That might include the graduate students in the law school.
Yeah. Small. Real small.
I walked out knowing 1,000 people on my Facebook that I actually knew. Isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy?
It's super weird.
4,000 people, sure I knew 1,000.
I feel like I talked to like 4 people.
I know. Yeah, I was one of those 4 people. I was like 4+. You're like, nah.
Yeah, maybe there's 6. I
don't know. You're like, Mike, walking down the hall. But I just feel like it's a great school. It was it probably was good academically, even though I didn't take full advantage of that. It's well renowned. It wins awards. People love it. But I don't think I think colleges are different per person, and for like the typical college experience, I think I needed that, which I did not have, and it took me longer to develop as a person because of that. Because it was high school 2.0. It was everyone knew your business. If you screwed up, everybody knew. If you did something stupid, everybody knew.
Couldn't disappear as much.
Everyone knew who you were dating. Everyone knew everything about you.
All of my school experiences have been small.
Really? You went to private school?
I went to a school called Longfellow, which is a Spanish immersion school.
It's a weird name.
Longfellow. It's a Spanish immersion school. Super small that you have to be on a list on, I believe.
That's down here in San Diego?
Yeah. Huh. So that was really, really small. Same school from middle school from elementary to middle.
Okay.
So all of that was one school.
I think people need to transition because I know some friends that went to
didn't have that,
like religious affiliated private schools from like K to 8th grade.
Yep.
Like you need to transition.
Did that.
Yeah.
Then I went to High Tech High.
High Tech High?
High Tech High. Which I was
no. That sounds like a Disney Channel show.
No, it's a real high school.
High Tech High.
It's a real high school, but it's very much project based. I was the first graduating class.
That's cool, though. That's cool you can say that.
So it was kind of experimental. Like we went
that totally sounds like something they put into like a Saved by the Bell type of,
but it's
even like Power Rangers.
Yeah, and
High Tech High.
It's developed more, but we were like the first.
Is it still called High Tech High?
Yeah. It's expanded. There's like High Tech International.
You can even name
now.
a band that.
You could try, I guess. I don't know how successful you'd be, but
know.
but that was 400 kids.
That's not a lot.
Eventually, it started I think with 200. They just did a freshman
Gnarly.
and sophomore class.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's 400 kids. I was prom queen of
Good for you.
400 kids.
Cool.
Yeah, didn't expect it. I'm always confused when people talk about going to prom and they're like not seniors.
Yeah, that always weirded me out too.
I was like, how many proms do you have? We had to fight for
There's
one.
like a junior prom. We didn't
have sports teams.
That's interesting.
We had something called an X block.
Which is
and
what?
during X block, you selected.
It sounds like you went to school with the X-Men. You went to high-tech high. You went to school in like a comic book. Yeah, pretty much. With X block.
So you got to select what you wanted to do. So your X block could be a boot camp where they brought in a outside trainer to run a boot camp class. Yoga. That's the first time. That's how I got into yoga.
Interesting.
Was taking a yoga X block that was taught by my math teacher.
Strange, but cool.
But he was, you know, fully like into that stuff, and I think maybe certified. I don't know. I was a kid,
probably.
But that's how I got into that stuff. Or you could do. I did something called tea time. It was literally watch British movies and drink British tea and talk about them.
Your school was great.
It was great. Yeah. And when you're a senior, you pick a senior project, and you could do multimedia, you could do music senior projects. So we'd sit around on like the lawn and like play guitar for a couple hours.
Definitely got to do stuff that most kids don't get to do.
Very unusual educational situation for me.
Looking back,
all the way around.
Looking back, do you value it?
I do.
Okay.
I do value it.
Yeah. I don't think I learned anything in high school.
I think I learned a lot.
Like we got put through a system. I went to public school. Good school district, but I know we'll call it a generation, even though that's the wrong word for it, but my years there, I think the 4-year block I was there, they were doing something experimental in that district called integrated math, where you touched upon every like discipline of math within one school year, and no one really got a good mastery of math.
And that's the problem with the way things are taught,
I think
right?
so, because in the school district over, they spent a year on algebra, and then algebra 2, and then geometry, the whole year in geometry. I would have loved a whole year on geometry. And then trigonometry or whatever. But for us, it was integrated math 1, 2, 3, and then something called discrete math, which was statistics. I don't know why they call it discrete, but
I don't know. Yeah. But well, that's the interesting thing about my school. Like, so that same math teacher that knew yoga, he also, like, we would take a math test, okay? Take a math test, and then he would hand them back out. He graded them, and then we'd sit around. We're at a conference table, too. Like, this is a weird, small school. Awesome, it's just more personalized, right? And he'd give us our test back, and he'd go, okay, today for class, you're going to go back, and you're going to look at what you did wrong, and you're going to figure it out. And if you can correct your mistake on that question, I'll give you credit for it. So everybody can walk out of here with an A. You just got to figure out what you did wrong. You got to learn it.
That's a good way to do it.
That's how you actually learn
instead of being like, oh, that's wrong. Yeah. We're moving on to something else.
So we learned something in that process, and we all helped each other in that classroom.
See, for me, as I'm developing as a professional, what I realize I lack is those strengths. I think I'm a very smart person. I can retain information very well. I'm very good with history, and I'm very passionate about things I know about. But math is a different part of your brain. Math is...
yes, mine's underdeveloped.
Yeah, but mine is probably more undeveloped than yours. So thankfully, I don't think everyone has this advantage or is able to develop this. And I knew I had to. It's part of my extrovertism. But I knew I had to be able to talk, to do anything, to get away from the math. My dad's a CPA. And all of us, 4 of his kids, he's disappointed that none of us wanted to follow in his footsteps. But it's just like we'd never had the tools to. I think back then, I think he went to school in the 60s. I think my dad had a pretty good education going through public school. He went to public schools, and then he went to a state college, and then does very well. He's very proficient at what he does. And I noticed that about my parents' generation is they're very good at probably one particular thing. They're professionals at that. And then our generation, so much is thrown at us and no depth per se. Even in college, I felt like it was just touching upon things because I went through the film program as well. And can I make a film? No.
But do I know how to do that? Absolutely not.
I know how to talk about it. Do I know how to do it? It's a different thing.
Talking is very important in the society that we live in.
But that's what I've learned is my strength.
Our generation's different because we grew up in part of the time where it was like, well, you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah, but then
you can wait longer to get married. You can wait longer to do all this stuff. Find yourself, figure out
which
I
think is important,
do,
which I'm doing still.
Which is, but that's what happens is that we kind of some
it takes us
people
longer.
It takes us longer, and it's a focus thing.
Yeah,
and you
I don't
really
think it's a bad thing either.
And you can delve into different things.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
I think there's strengths on both sides.
managing your time.
My dad started his practice when he was 25. When I
Yeah.
was 25, I didn't know how to cook chicken.
Yeah.
My dad doesn't know how to cook chicken either, now that I think about it. But at least he knew he was doing something. But on the flip side of that, I'm not including my dad in this, is there's so many divorces in our parents' generation because I think they're on a linear track and let me pick up a wife and go and have kids because I'm supposed to.
Yeah,
but
'cause
it's
it was
like you're
more
not
normal.
necessarily in love with that person, or you don't necessarily care about your kids. They're there because that's something you're supposed to do. I think with our generation, yeah, we are taking a longer time to do things. I think it's also evident in the economy because our economy has slowed down. I heard a statistic today that 50% of the United States is under poverty. That means the other 50 is above it, but that's not a good statistic. But I think if you're lucky enough and fortunate enough and smart enough, skilled enough to find what you're good at, which I'm not an expert. I still want to learn, but I'm good at talking. I'm good at sales.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at explaining concepts to people. I think that's important. What also I notice is people are healthier longer in our generation.
Yeah.
I think people look younger for a longer amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look too different than when I last saw you 10 years ago. I may or may not, but I still think I look good.
We haven't aged that much.
No, compared to the older generations.
We're part of the kind of like a fit movement that kind of happened during that time.
Because America became the fattest country in the world, and I think there has been a positive backlash against that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think part of that is so many people were tied to their desks, whatever they were doing. Fitness was never a priority for them back then. But if you think about it, you're working and you're earning money to be happy. That's one way to get to happiness. I'm not saying working and making money is a bad thing. It definitely fuels your life, but that's the way you should see it. That is the fuel that's going to fund me to go to the gym. That is the fuel that's going to fund me to get to the beach and do whatever fun things I do, go play tennis, take tennis lessons, yada, yada, yada. I don't think that was a priority for generations past. So things have changed, and I think there is a headbutting. I know there is between me and my parents about like, when you get your shit together, when are you going to do this? And like, blah, blah. Fortunately, my parents had never stressed me on getting married. I think that's just something.
I don't get that from mine
No,
either.
but I do see parents like that. It's just like, when am I going to have grandkids? I'm like, let them like do their thing at their thing before they have grandkids and get divorced by their 26, which I've seen because I come from a town with a big mega church. So I've seen that too.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. I think it's like there's goods and bads to both. I don't want to say our generation's better than the older, but I think there are parts of ours that are good and parts of ours that aren't as good. I think our work ethic is less than our parents' generation, but I think our overall health and our version of happiness, we just got to realize what happiness is, may be better than theirs. So I think I'm not a socialist. I'm not like an anti-capitalist at all. I believe if you can make money and have a lot of it, great. But I think so much happiness is tied to financial, just a dollar sign, that's unhealthy. And I was living that way for a very long time until recently. And I was just so stressed out and just like, I'm not achieving what I want to achieve in my life, and compare myself to my dad who, has all this stuff in his life. But then I realized like it's stuff. Like my parents have a big house full of stuff. Not organized stuff. It's dirty stuff. I walk in there and I'm just like, God, it's dirty dog hair, spider. It's like my parents are like, I don't want to say anything bad, but this close to being hoarders. It is not good. There's stuff in there. My dad does not get rid of cars. So this still put in perspective without, I hope, bragging. My dad owns about between 14 and 20 cars.
That is a lot of vehicles.
But they're not cool.
Okay.
He has a 1985 cream yellow Cadillac. Pardon this generalization, that should belong to a older black man named Leroy.
Okay.
Like that kind of looking car. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a Coupe de Ville from 1985.
All right.
And the mechanics keep saying, Pete, get rid of this thing. Like it's worth probably $80 at this point. Yeah. Literally. My parents just never get rid of everything. But I think that's part of that generation. I don't know.
It's a constant evolution.
It's a constant evolution.
We're a constant evolution.
Because
we're figuring it out.
I think most parents are like this. There's a few that aren't. They grew up fortunate, but they grew up in a time right after World War II where everyone had to work really hard. And in the 50s, I don't think there was as many people that were hitting it big yet as, say, the 80s, when you saw like a big boom in people with personal wealth. So you just had to work super hard to get to that spot, which is why in the 80s that happened. Because by the time someone who was born in 1950 got to 1980 and they were 30, all of a sudden you see it in the movies too. Like it's just people live in these quaint houses and things kind of evolve. And by the time you see 1980, movies like Wall Street come out and this, that, and the other. And what I love about movies is that it's a reflection of society at the time.
Absolutely.
And you really saw how hard people worked then to get to where they're at. And then somehow the 90s happened. I think there was another recession in there, and it's almost like it is repeating itself. We're starting over again. We're starting back from like just 1949, really.
Yeah.
Because
the
we had
importance of history, though, right?
Yeah.
So you can understand what the patterns are if you're really smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a different thing. I think there's just since we don't have exact firm tracks of like how you're supposed to do
which
it,
I
and
think
what
they
a
used
happy
to. Yeah.
because you were told
to.
this is the path,
which is easier, but not necessarily happier.
It's easier, but not happier.
Yeah.
So now we have more freedom. And our goal is to, I mean, for me, like to have money is to be able to create some freedom for yourself is the ideal situation, so that you can go and live some life
where you want to and how you want to.
So when things are more open-ended, though, now as a person, you just have more responsibility to figure out how to be happy, what is how to improve yourself, how to find the thing that's going to make you feel fulfilled and satisfied. It's more personal responsibility on you to figure out what that means if you're not going to follow a very traditional, track of what you've seen in the past or your parents may be telling you to do.
Right. Because I constantly butt heads with my parents about that stuff. And it's just like, I didn't want to become a CPA because I knew it's going to make me miserable.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things that have been presented to me that would have financially got me pretty far, but I just said no.
Well,
I've said no to like probably 99% of those things.
I've always been a more creatively minded person, and that's awesome. And sometimes it sucks. Like I talk to some other people that are just they don't see themselves at 9 to 5 desk jobs. They're like, I couldn't possibly do that. And I'm like, yeah, it sucks. Sometimes we're like, I wish I could do that stuff. It seems like it'd be easier than feeling like I'm always trying to figure it out.
Yeah. What's funny too is I've noticed until recently again, people were judging me for not being financially successful. And I think the whole society has shifted. I'd run it because I'm a guy. I deal with girls. I'd run into girls. They'd be like, "Oh, you do what? You teach tennis? Like, well, how much money does that make?" That's sometimes first words out of their mouth.
They say that.
I'm like, well, it makes enough. I pay my bills.
I would never.
Well, you live in San Diego where everyone's like happy and beach bums, and
that's not correct.
I know it's not correct. I say a lot of things that aren't correct just to get people going.
It's not correct.
Yeah. But I think. And maybe it's the age that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with like older people now because I'm older or whatever. But I think, especially Chapman, because that was a money school.
It was.
Yeah. Kids were driving around in Mercedes and ish. And
they were.
Yeah, they were for sure. Living in Newport Beach and then going to school at Chapman. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it.
But I think for the normal person, it's just different. And like for me, I chose to be normal. Like my parents do very well. For me, I have a psychological crutch where everything was paid for. I have no student debt, thank goodness. But I feel like sometimes maybe I needed that to push me along. I'm finally realizing that failure is necessary in life. For growth.
Yeah.
And so many people look at failure like, oh my gosh, you fucked up.
No,
like, you should feel terrible. You fucked up. It's like, I fucked up. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm doing it better.
Some people think of a failure as like an end. It's not an end.
Yeah.
It's a moment.
Yeah.
That didn't work. And now you learn.
Right.
You do something different.
Yeah.
Like, and so everybody's scared to fail, but it's like, it's just,
you're still living. You brush it off and
you're still going.
Yeah.
You just you're making your way. And that's how we grow into better people, I think. So we have to stop kind of being afraid.
What's funny too is I suddenly realized just basically over this weekend, and I realized it at times in the past. I've gone through like ups and downs of this realization, but like my life now is just as fun as I could deal with more fun in my life. That's a funny thing to say, but like it's a lot of fun. I'm finally realizing I'm living a very interesting life full of fun that I didn't necessarily get here by funding it. I got here by making connections with the right people. When I mean right people, I don't mean people like, oh, this person knows this person, therefore I'm going to like use them. Genuine people who happen to, like one of my best friends is a musician. We have music parties, every couple months. It's just it's the real effing deal. I never thought I'd be living in a music video that I watched as a child. Basically, that thing. Like we had a Rolling Stones party where like 8 different bands rolled through, and you had to do like a Rolling Stones cover. And it was flipping amazing. It was better music than I've seen at most other live music venues in this dude's house in Podunk, Simi Valley, California.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And this is my life. And it's just great because I stayed being a genuine person. I didn't grab nothing wrong with being a stockbroker. Maybe your passion is making money and making sales, and that thrills you. That's great, but that's just not for me. But for me, I found my happiness not through funding it, which I still am trying to do. I'm no slouch. But you just gotta realize what you're doing. Like a lot of people, another example, a lot of people go through school not realizing I'm getting a degree for a purpose. A lot of people like, amazing job got offered to me, but I'm not done with I didn't get my diploma. So, dude, amazing job got offered to you. Why are you going to school? Like, not why are you going to school? Like, what was your purpose to go to school? Was to get there. So, like, what is your purpose to go to work? It is to get to this spot in your life where you're comfortable and happy.
Some people get stuck in the school pattern.
They get stuck in the school pattern, and then you get
school.
Nothing's wrong with the workaholic, but sometimes you forget why you're working. So I've been lucky, and I don't know. Maybe most people aren't like this, but I've noticed that. Is that your foot?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want, not that I mind. I just want to know what I'm touching. I constantly step on people's feet, so I'm sorry. I could be on a table this size, which is a reasonable sized table, and I will still like stomp on your foot somehow.
That's hilarious.
Which I'm not even that tall. It's just weird how that works.
Because you're extroverted.
I'm extroverted, so I'm just like, hey, I'm in your space. I'm not short. I'm 5'10", but still. And you're not tall. You're like what, 5'2"? Yeah. So for me to like reach over there and like kick you would be impossible, but somehow I'm already doing it.
Figure it out.
So yeah. But I just think people need to slow down, realize what they have in their life, and what is it that's making them happy.
Well, it's about appreciating the moment, because so often you're like, well, I'm supposed to be this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. We're always telling ourselves, I'm supposed to be this.
Yeah.
Well, where are you now?
Mm-hmm.
Is right now that
good
bad?
example of that is I have again, this is going to sound like generalizing, and it's going to sound like I'm putting people in a box, but I've seen it enough times. Kids from immigrant families whose parents want them to be a lawyer, or you have to be a doctor, or have to be this and that.
Yeah, they're going for really affluent
and they're
careers.
so freaking just, oh my gosh, I'm going to let my family down and my grandparents down because I didn't become a lawyer, blah, 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 blah. And it's funny because if they just let themselves be them and find their own path, they could be 10 times more successful than a doctor or a lawyer, which is easily possible.
Because if you're doing what you're meant to do and what your skills lean you towards, you have to be more successful in it, right?
Yeah.
You have to be.
So.
And you don't feel like you're working so hard. And like I was saying the other day, like I was like, when you go to work, there's all this whole like people hate Mondays.
Yeah.
I hate Monday. Is that what life's supposed to be?
No, dude.
Is that? I don't want to.
It's funny because I've taught tennis the last 15 years, and I've worked almost every single day of the week. Yeah. It's like I don't hate Mondays, because Monday to me is just like Saturday, because I enjoy what I do.
Yeah, I don't want to feel like I have to dread 5 days of the week.
Yeah, no, that sucks.
What?
No, that's where people start to be unhealthy. That
makes no sense in the concept of life.
No, at all.
You know what I mean? That's just crazy. It's the same thing too. We were talking about speaking of like visuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about my friend, like I was like super visually self-conscious for whatever reason. I just wasn't feeling like attractive.
Gotcha.
In a moment for whatever reason.
No, I get there.
And I'm being too hard on myself. I'm being ridiculous, being silly, as most people I think are most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's kind of this mindset of like, what if I imagine myself as a 90-year-old woman looking back at a picture of me now, or thinking of myself now? I would think I was the biggest idiot in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at you. You were young. What was wrong? There's nothing wrong with you. You're fine.
Yeah. No,
You're fine. You're 90.
No, for sure.
When I'm 90?
I've seen pictures of me a long time ago.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of me in high school. I really haven't. I'm not that much physically different. I hope I'm more muscular and more of a man. But back high school's the worst. I think. I mean, you went to high tech high, so that's different.
Trust me, I went through a nice, solid, awkward phase.
Did you?
Yeah, several years of my life are almost missing from photos. I think my parents even knew I was super awkward. Maybe they didn't want to take pictures.
Dude,
of me
most of my life is not photographed. Oddly enough, and there's 4 of us. It was like,
definitely
blah,
not
blah, blah.
cute for a good portion of time.
They see pictures of my family members, not me. Yeah. I looked like Napoleon Dynamite around my middle school years. I had much curlier hair than I do now. My hair's like straightening out as I get older. I not that I was trying to do this. It was more like someone saw me then created Napoleon Dynamite. I had the tight shorts. I wore like oversized Looney Tune t-shirts, which I'm saying this now, it sounds like super hipster cool.
It's the 90s.
Right. This is like early 90s.
Yeah.
I kid you not, I had those snow boots and I wore them.
Dang.
And I had the glasses.
pure fashion.
And I was so like, now that'd be cool, right?
Yeah.
But like
You can wear
back
whatever
then,
you want
back
now,
then,
it's
yeah.
just- you can wear whatever. I'm
That's
of
the cool thing
mindset,
about now.
You
I
can wear
think
whatever you
Mhm.
want as long as you own it.
My sister is 12 years younger than me, and like I swear to God, she looks like a hobo. She's cool though. She pulls it off.
Yeah.
She bought a yellow jumpsuit from Urban Outfitters last time we hung out.
Dang, Urban
yeah.
Outfitters. Yeah, that's their theme is like
Mhm.
homeless,
Shabby
or
chic, homeless or hipster.
hipster.
Yeah.
We don't know the difference.
But it's like you pay $90 to look homeless.
Yeah, but quite frankly,
Yeah.
it's true though. It's like if you want to wear something,
Mm-hmm.
but you
Yeah.
own it and you rock it, people can't make fun of you
It's funny
because you're comfortable.
Yeah, my buddy Aaron, who's the musician dude, he's long beard, wears like vintage clothing, we'll call it. He's, in my mind, very successful person. In my eyes, I should say. He runs a lot of after school music camps. But he was at this school, and he grabbed this kid in his auditorium and said, "Hey, can you go grab the principal," who he knew, "and have him come over here because I want to talk to him." The kid goes, "Oh, okay." So, and he was at the door, and the principal's way up in the auditorium, and the principal's walking halfway through the auditorium, which is a big room, and like halfway through, he just starts cracking up and keeps walking to my friend Aaron. My friend's like, "What's going on?" He goes, "That kid over there said that homeless guy over here wanted to talk to me."
Like he's not homeless.
He's not homeless. He just is looking cool.
That's so funny.
But, yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think the concept of success just is maybe adapting.
Yeah, it's
think it's
adapting.
adapting.
I think people need to be happy.
think
And
it's
I don't want to sound like one of these like not hoity-toity, but like frou-frou-y granola-y, like nothing matters. But I think you need to find your
things
perspective.
matter, but it's about figuring
You
out
do
what
need
matters,
money. You
what
do.
matters
Yeah.
to you and
Yeah.
to be comfortable and take care of yourself and everything like that. The problem is that we kind of live in this time of ideals. Like you're supposed to look perfect or you're supposed to look a certain way and
Yeah,
this is what's
right.
ideal. And if you're different than that, well, it's probably not good. You should probably be striving to be that. And it's like
That's how I felt probably 3 years ago.
yeah.
Like until very
And
recently.
that's the best way to be unhappy.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Best way to be
Best way
unhappy,
to be unhappy
is
is
to be
compare
striving
yourself.
for some
Yeah.
compare yourself to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Realize your own strengths. Because it's like I was thinking about that too, like about body type.
Yeah.
Like say I'm sitting here 5'2",
Mm-hmm.
small person.
Mm-hmm.
If my ideal body type is Heidi Klum, I'm not ever gonna
Just
get
the
there.
height. Yeah.
The height,
Yeah.
I'm like she's real thin.
Mhm.
She's naturally very, very
But
thin
that's
build.
that body type.
It's that body
Yeah.
type. I'm smaller, but like my body wants to be more muscular
Mm-hmm.
in general.
Which is fine.
fine.
Yeah.
It's what my body does.
Right.
And so I think the problem is when you get set in those ideals and that's pushed
I think
on
girls
us.
have it tough that way.
It's pushed on us a lot.
I
of
think
what you're
girls have more
supposed to
body
be.
types than guys. I think guys are either
Yeah.
like chunky or you're in shape or you're really thin. And girls are like everywhere in between that spectrum. There's like 8 different bodies.
There's
So
a
it's
lot of
like it's weird
things.
for girls.
And
I
you
feel
can-
like
and
there's a lot more pressure.
And you just don't have to be one thing. And I think that's what's crazy is that I'm noticing it in my guy friends too.
Mm.
My guy friends struggling for these certain ideals and worrying that they're not enough.
Right.
Now we know it's getting bad. If it's gone to the men,
Yeah, for sure.
they're worried about
yeah.
they're not muscular enough. They're not.
Well, I do
this
too.
and- yeah.
So
But
I
it's
mean,
like
natural.
you're enough. But it's coming from people that genuinely are healthy,
Yeah.
fit, active individuals,
Mhm.
and they are still worried about being enough.
Yeah, it's funny because they're probably very good at whatever they do, whether they're like a long distance runner, tennis player,
Yes, we're
whatever,
very hard on ourselves.
swimmer. But like, you want to have that musculature that just doesn't.
Yeah.
There's a reason you probably got into, like, I'm gonna stop saying tennis because it's very specific to me. But there's a reason someone probably got into swimming because they were probably like a lanky dude. And to me, like, swimmers are
Good body type for
really,
it.
yeah. You probably gravitated towards that because you were good at that.
Mhm.
You're probably, I'm gonna say probably, not gonna have the huge upper body build of say like a a football player. It's just not gonna happen. But like you just got to realize
Some of it is
what
genetic lottery. and
everyone
some of it
has.
is what
I
you
think
do with it.
every person has the potential to look as attractive as they possibly can, and
Yes.
it's not gonna look like the next person.
I know, but that's the best thing you can
Yeah.
do. You can say, you look in the mirror and you say, "What
Mhm.
am I?
Mm-hmm.
What am I working
Yeah.
with? What's good on me? What
Yeah.
what gets fit on me? What can
Mhm.
I do for myself?"
I still
And
think
then
you need to try to be in shape and try to stay
Sure.
healthy with that, but you just know you're not gonna.
compare yourself to you.
Yeah.
Do your
Yeah,
best version
that
of
is
your
who I
body.
compare myself to. I used to be more muscular before. I had this injury
Yeah.
with my hips. My hips are misaligned, and it's fucking sucks. But I used to be leaner and more in shape. But it's like now I can.
You're freaking super lean. What are you talking about?
There you go. Exactly it. So Yeah.
We see ourselves more harshly than
We do,
people
don't
see
we?
us.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And then you get that random shithead every once in a while that says like, "Oh, food belly," and you're like, "I am 11% body fat, miss. I'm sorry."
Or do you ever you eat super healthy, pretty much like 80% of your life, 90% of your life, and then you decide to have like you have an ice cream, or you eat some pizza or something,
pizza.
and then somebody
can never say no to pizza.
I believe in a cheat meal. Absolutely.
The problem is when I get pizza, it becomes like survival food for me. But like I'll get a whole huge big pizza and it'll last me for like 3 days. So I end up eating pizza for 72 hours.
Ooh, but that's kind of fun though.
It is fun.
That's kind of fun though. But then somebody will be like, "Oh, that's crazy for that." You bring it up, and I'm like, "Can I just be a normal person? Can I just eat food without you talking about my food intake?"
Fuck up, dude. Like.
Very healthy.
Are you the food Nazi? The government like employ you to like police people's food?
It's one thing to have your own paranoias. Yeah. If you're feeling guilty for having,
and then someone else comes along.
You're in your head. You're in your own
What's
head.
What's funny about those people
is I know. Judging you.
I'm talking over you, and I apologize.
It's all good.
I'm really excited. What I notice about those people is they typically have some insecurity of their own, and they project.
Yes.
I was told once I have janky teeth by someone that I already thought had a janky face, but I didn't tell her she had a janky face. I'm like, how dare you tell me I have janky teeth?
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't that go back to that thing? Remember when we were taught as kids, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all? Like,
where did that go?
I don't know. Yeah. Because there's certain comments that even if you think them, and we're humans, we all have terrible thoughts from time to time.
Oh, for sure.
There are certain things you don't need to say.
No.
Sometimes you stop and you say, do I need to say that to them? Probably not.
No.
Why would I do that? It might hurt their feelings, even if they don't show you that you've hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
They might be thinking about it somewhere. You know what I mean? So just people are mindful. Sometimes people are not mindful of what they're.
People are retards.
Of what
I love that word. I hate that word. It's become illegal.
Well, it's a PC world.
I'm not PC. That's the problem. I'm
you
being
don't come
so
off as
polite
PC.
right
Haven't seen you in a while. You're not coming off.
Have
I
ever like?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's the longest. For sure, this is the longest time you and I have ever had a conversation.
Most definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Most definitely.
So
what's up? What's up with LA?
LA, I don't know. It's LA, man.
You expressed interest in talking about the dating scene up there. You had thoughts.
The dating scene is you're
a single human up in LA.
I'm quasi single.
Oh.
So
okay, making progress.
I do go on dates more so for entertainment. I'll be honest about that.
Okay.
And sometimes networking, even though I said don't use people, but like it's LA. It's interesting up there because when you go to other cities like Orange County, even for example, which is just like the next county south, people really want to hang out with you for you. They want in LA, people want to hang out with you because of what you could possibly, because I'm a bad example of that, bring them. It's almost like if people make a connection up there, it's on certain levels. I'm sure not everybody's like this. It's almost by accident. It's like I was hanging out with this person because they could possibly get me a job at Sony. And, oh, this person's kind of cool. I'll keep hanging out with them. But it's like a lot of like, I've literally been on dates on the receiving end of that where people are like, oh, you're a tennis instructor. Oh. Okay.
They're like, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, unless they want to learn tennis lessons, which I charge for, that puts people off too. It's like, oh, it's not for free. I'm like, this is my job. You know?
How dare you?
Yeah. So, but no, it's interesting up there. I notice, other places go outside the state, just go outside the city. People actually want to hang out with people for, enjoyment, which is different up there.
They are.
Yeah.
Compatibility.
It's very status driven in LA. It's very, and again, not everybody's like this, but it is LA. It's very, what can you do for me? What can this bring to my life? What advantages will this help me with?
Yeah.
So you see it a lot. You do see it a lot. You see it enough to know it's a thing.
Yeah.
So San Diego's great because everyone down here is just, I think, fun. It's just fun.
Are we more mellow?
You're
I don't
way
know
more mellow.
because I'm a San Diegan, so maybe I don't have a good perspective.
Yeah. No, you don't.
Because in it.
I don't have a good perspective being up there. And then I get out of it and I'm like, holy crap, people are different down here.
We're just more relaxed.
You're more relaxed, for sure. I think down here, everyone just wants to let loose on the weekends, go near the beach, go on a yacht cruise, drink mimosas and just chill. Just be fun.
I do those things. I mean, I haven't been on a yacht cruise at any point.
Last time I was in San Diego, I went on a yacht cruise. But
classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
I have a weird perception of San Diego. It's not a bad thing. It's just weird. I used to come here a lot when I was a kid because I had a cousin that lived down here. And then they made Anchorman. So to me, San Diego is somehow caught in the 70s a little bit,
Interesting.
which you probably don't agree with.
You've held on to that.
I've
no, I don't
held on
feel
to
we're
that.
very
But like
70s-ish.
when I watched like Guardians of the Galaxy movie like that, all the movies is like 60s, 70s music. Reminds me of San Diego.
Wow, that's
my
really funny.
vibe of San Diego, which is good because I love it.
Maybe because it's more. I mean, if you think of the 70s as kind of chill and more relaxed and like friendly and this and that, but it's really interesting what cities do. Large cities do, especially. We're very much broken up into neighborhoods.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, well, what vibe are you feeling tonight? And then somebody describes it to you, and you're like, oh, well, you need to be in North Park.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You know exactly. And it's hilarious because, OB, Pacific Beach, La Jolla, Mission Beach, they're all on the same
right
street.
next to each other. Yeah, on the same street.
And within a couple blocks, you've got an entirely different environment.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty interesting that you can do that. Is LA like that? I figured
it's not LA. That's another
LA,
problem. I'm feeling I'm so negative on this podcast, but I'm just talking real. I feel like LA has a problem with that too. There's no identity as an actual city. I was telling you this when you wanted to visit that one time. I said don't go to downtown because that's actually not the central part of the city.
Right.
The central part of the city is Sherman Oaks, which is this kind of it's a well-to-do.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's not really a suburb, but it's busy.
Yeah, it had shops and then but bigger homes. I was a little confused by it. I didn't know what to
LA,
think.
That's the thing with LA. There's no like.
I never know where I am.
Exactly. There's that too. I don't even know where I am half the time in LA.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Santa Monica is nice.
Santa Monica is not technically Los Angeles. It's its own city.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So when most people outside of LA think of LA, they're actually thinking about Santa Monica.
Yeah.
That's the weird part. So LA itself is so spread out, and there's no public transit, which we used to back in the 30s. And I don't know. It's just there's no real identity to it. There's different pockets. Like if you want to go eat really good Ethiopian food, that's definitely an option, but you have to drive 40 minutes.
Everything in LA feels like a
40 minutes. If you want to go to Chinatown.
I've told people I hit traffic at 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, what is this? The nightclub traffic? What is this?
Yeah, pretty much. There's so many
hitting?
people living there. It's a very large city, but it's large enough to like house that many people. I think it's like
maybe it struggles with identity just because how many people are coming to LA. People go to LA.
What I do like about it is there's a lot of different cultures there.
Yeah.
So there's very good food. And I love culture in general and being educated about that. So I love Persian people and that whole thing and Thai food and that whole thing and whatnot. That's what I feel fortunate about LA.
Yeah, you're gonna get all kinds of people from everywhere.
But it's like let's go hang out in some central area. We don't have that here in LA.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys do down here? If let's say like everyone from different points of San Diego. Let's go just this one spot. Like, what do you identify as San Diego?
Downtown. I mean, anything by the water, people generally will gravitate to. Feels like when you live in San Diego, anywhere is a 10-minute drive away.
Yeah, that's
so it's not very difficult to pick a different neighborhood to go hang out in, no matter where everybody's.
So LA, like you'll hang out in Hollywood, and then downtown's like 10 minutes without traffic. It's like 40 minutes with.
Yeah.
So it blocks people off, and it does not. People don't want to drive anywhere. It's like come to me. And
it doesn't encourage people to hang out very much. So you
end
up hanging out with just the people in your direct.
You become
proximity.
very much in your own silo.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You become tunnel vision with the people you surround yourself with, and the way you're living, and
Despite
you don't. Yeah. No one wants to visit me because I'm in the valley.
Numbers.
Even though it's like a 15-minute drive, it's like, it's the valley. I don't want to do that. It's just like,
and that's a mindset thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like though, if people are important enough, they'll make the trip.
For sure. Yeah, I got friends in Orange County I see all the time. So,
what time are we looking at?
What are we looking at? Oh, you got to go, don't you? You said you're free till 3.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to get into?
As far as talking?
Are you going to be podcasting?
I want to get podcasting. I got a buddy who our dynamic is crazy. Just getting it started. Just buying the equipment and
I did a lot of research.
Carving out the time.
I'm about to actually write something that is a quick start guide to if you want to get a podcast going.
Awesome.
From what I learned to get myself going with things like this kind of like audio recorder equipment and what's working for me. So I'm gonna put something like that together because that's really what it is. You got to get over that hump.
Yeah.
And then order everything. And just be like, well, it's here. I better use it.
This costs. How much are these guys? Who makes these?
$50.
That's not bad. Have you heard of Yeti? That
Audio
microphone?
Technica. Yeah, Yeti's very popular. If you search it, a lot of things will send you to the Yeti microphone. These are less expensive.
They sound good though.
They sound.
Yeah, and I've heard the podcast, so they sound great.
I think they sound pretty nice.
Yeah.
You just gotta start going, and you'll figure out how it's gonna work out.
So
just start. Anything? Do you want people to know where they can find you for tennis things? What's your Instagram? Do
My
you have...
Instagram is ridiculously stupid, but it's Michael LaPlante, spelled MYKAL_LAPLANTE, which is not my real name because no one has a real name on Instagram. You don't either, so don't laugh at me.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's your middle name.
That's my name.
We just found that out.
It's my name, though.
It's my name, Courtney Diamond.
My name.
Someone just like gave me that last name one day, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But that is my Instagram. You will see underneath that my real last name, Michael. My real full name, Michael Muffoletto. But that's my Instagram.
Sweet.
Or you can find me on Facebook, and I'm the guy with the tennis background. If you look at my profile, there's people playing at Wimbledon.
Do you do lessons for children or for adults?
I do mostly children, but I do all ages. I've taught as young as 4, taught all the way up to 80 something. But no, it's tons of fun. And then I just recently started selling vape pens to dispensaries called Platinum Vape. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's why I'm not a huge stoner, for lack of a better word. I don't even like using that word. I'm not a huge user per se. I do edibles. I actually give the samples of these to other people for them to try out and report back to me because I don't really want to jeopardize my lung capacity, being that I am an athlete. But I think hopefully the cannabis industry is going to continue becoming more and more legal and somewhere to be and be more legit. And I see a lot of lucrative possibility there. That's why I got into it.
Things are going in that direction, don't they?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So, yeah.
Thanks for coming through.
Definitely.
Thanks so much for listening. Find me on the socials at Courtney Diamond, and make sure to subscribe and leave a nice comment or rating if you get the chance. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're thinking about podcasting or want to know how my setup works, make sure to check out my new post up on CourtneyDiamond.com. And with that, I'm out of here. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll talk to you guys soon.